Hey everyone, good morning. I hope you didn't think I forgot you. I am a few minutes late here. I'm just gonna triple check as I usually do if we are live. Oops. Can't I can't tell yet, and I don't want to keep holding you here, but I will hope that everything is good, that you are seeing me right now. Oh gosh, now I am watching things on YouTube that I don't want. I usually am more organized with our get togethers here on Tuesday, but to be sincere, I have a bit of a cold and haven't had a usual week. And um, it's been one of those that just happens from time to time. And unfortunately, it is such as life. It does happen, and I am definitely not immune to the unexpected events either. So here I am, and I hope you can see me. But if you cannot, this will be available on YouTube, and I will also upload on Facebook later. Um, I want to say good morning to all of you. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a great week. I am super excited about today and the blog post that went out yesterday that is entitled Meet Maxi and Christine. Maxi and Christine are now two qualitative scholars. Maxi is an adjunct professor at the U of A and also a consultant, and Christine has a research lead position at the University of Waterloo and is doing an incredible work also somewhere else in Canada. And I met both of them back in 2014. And they came to my qualitative course, like the course I was taking at that point, because of the relationship that they had developed and what that meant for their practice of reflexivity. In the blog post, I really shared how their relationship started. And to me, it's interesting because I personally didn't know that their relationship started because of a quantitative course that they had to survive and try to get the best grade possible, even though they both knew that they were not doing quantitative research. Excuse me. So it was interesting that even though I have learned more about the two of them throughout the years, I still didn't know that piece of their story. And it resonated with me in some ways because I do have some people that I call friends and I still keep in touch with that I formed a bond when we were going through a course about knowledge translation that was extremely hard and had an extensive list of readings. And for us to survive that course, we had to become a really tightly, like, neat and supportive group. And we were able to do that. However, it's interesting how the relationship was really carved out of necessity, but it continues after, and I think that's really interesting and the beauty of it. In my opinion, the thing that stood out for me about Christine and Max's relationship was really how that shaped their practice of reflexivity and the quality and rigor of their qualitative research. And it is clear, and when you read the blog post, you see that I have like large chunks of text from our interview. So I have large chunks of large quotes from them. And you can see how they really understood that they needed one another in the process of getting from A to B. And that's something that I often say to the students that I work with, and one of the things that I find that make my services most valuable. In qualitative research, you have your data And you know that you will need to write your findings either in a thesis chapter or in a publication or some form of report. The process from getting to that point where you have your data to having your results written is not a linear one, and is also not a single path from A to B. You could use different methods, you could be aligning yourself with different methodologies that are grounded in different paradigms, etc. No matter those things, if I can say one thing that will make that process from going from A to B not only more enriching, transformative, but also more positive for you and likely easier is to have someone in your corner, in your qualitative corner. Having someone that can really listen to what you are doing to get from A to B, and having that person uh, critique, ask you questions, validate you. We also need validation. It's not only receiving critique, but sometimes it is about receiving validation. We have in our nature and we have doubts. We sometimes suffer from imposter syndrome. We don't know if we're doing what we need to do with our qualitative data. So there is an element of validation and companionship and partnership that we need when we engage with those people who are in our qualitative corners. I, as I told you, and I say in the blog post, and it is really true, they stood out for me, and I was in awe and inspired by their relationship. At that point, I didn't have data, I hadn't started the bulk of my project. However, the more I progressed in my PhD, the more I realized, and I was 100% aligned with what they said in the class about their relationship. And the more I realized how much I needed people in my corner to support me as I moved through my project. I was very privileged because I had those people. I had a really strong support system and network to hear the things that were happening and to give me feedback. And I encourage you to really find and foster and nourish the relationships that you have in your networks that can represent that type of support for you. And this advice is not for graduate students only or for people in their early career. It's for everyone, it's for all of us. At different stages of our lives and different projects, we might have different people. They might come and go according to what we are doing, but they're important for certain time frame or friends for life, whatever they become or they meant or they mean to you might vary, but they are important and they do shape projects, they do shape results, they do shape practices. And I think it's so important to acknowledge that. As I told you, unfortunately, I cannot find myself on the iPad right now. I hope I am live, but I will tell you that it's not as smooth as usual because I didn't schedule this live in advance. So if you are not seeing this as it's happening, I will be catching up with you and questions as soon as I finish here and have this posted in our group. Um, the other thing that I want to say, and this is something more for those of you who might be in this stage of life. Christine, when she came to my class, she had, I think, just had her second child. And I also remember how that was something that inspired me. You at that point I didn't know, and I really didn't know many or if any graduate students who had decided to have children and become mothers during grad school. And that was something that I had very secretively, or like inside me, come to graduate school with that mindset that I wasn't willing to wait until I had a thesis, defended a thesis to move on with that piece of my life. Um, so when I saw Christine there, as tired as she looked and knowing a bit of how her routine was crazy, how busy she was, but seeing her there, seeing her presence and her practices as a qualitative researcher were so reassuring that I could do it, that I didn't have to choose one thing or another. All choices come with sacrifice, and of course, becoming a mother as a graduate student does involve certain sacrifices, but it also involves a lot of joy and some advantages over choosing to do it later on or earlier on. But anyway, all I want to say is that Christine might not have known that at that point, but she also inspired me to have the courage not to postpone dreams that I had about my family. And it is also part of why we seek relationships and why we invest in Pillar 2 of the Realized Path. It's absolutely about understanding that those relationships can also inspire you and nourish you in other areas of your life. Not necessarily or not solely the areas of your life that are about your qualitative research, but even beyond that. So I am super excited that you're here today, and I will be talking to you soon. And if I have a feeling that I might not be posting this as it's happening live, so whenever you watch this, go check the blog post out. It's March 23rd, 2021. Meet Maxi and Christine, and stay tuned for next week's blog post because it will be also a treat when it comes to their description, and especially Maxi's practice and what she did to implement and demonstrate rigor in her PhD thesis. I hope to talk to you soon. Have a good day. Bye bye.